This was a C-grade cursed ring, the lowest level possible, yet the man was willing to spend every last penny to buy it. Seeing this, the woman thought the man had gone insane, but only he understood. This seemingly rusty, broken ring was the exclusive item needed to change his class to the one and only hidden profession, Necromancer. It all started one day when mysterious gates suddenly appeared all over the world, and countless monsters swept across the globe. Many humans also received a notification to awaken, and those who succeeded were able to harness the power of the constellations. They saved the world and established the 7 great families, their powers all originating from the blessing of a certain constellation in the stars. And this man was the world's first person to become a 9-star hunter. Oh, but the most incredible thing was, the man had not received the blessing of any constellation. Because of this, the man became a complete thorn in the side of the 7 great families. And so, one day, the city where the man lived suffered a devastating attack. Countless people died in this purge. The man clutched the watch in his hand, never imagining that the Romandov family would actually make a move against him. What he expected even less was that the Romandov family would send Dmitri, who was also a 9-star hunter. Dmitri was the human incarnation of the constellation Odin. He was also known as the King of Magic. At this moment, Dmitri looked at the man with pity. A human who could become a 9-star without relying on a constellation, to think you'd die by my hand. The man asked, unwilling to accept his fate, why they were so determined to kill him. Was it because he refused to join the 7 great families, or was it because he hadn't received a constellation's blessing? Dmitri chuckled softly and replied, I suppose it's a bit of both. At first, we 7 great families had no intention of coming after you, but the constellations frantically ordered us to. You had to be eliminated. If someone could reach 9 stars without the constellations, then the constellation's status would be greatly diminished. So you're saying, my very existence is a threat to the constellations, and that's why you have to get rid of me? You are the world's first necromancer. Manipulating the dead already violates the world rules set by the constellations. Among the constellations, the power of death is a symbol of evil. That's why the constellations were so desperate to issue the order to kill you. It's time to send you on your way. The man looked at Dmitri and spoke slowly. Do you know why I've been stalling for so long? It's because my spell is finally ready. Now, I'll let you experience what a necromancer truly is. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding skeletal remains seemed to answer a summons. The entire space was instantly enveloped in an aura of death. He had used all his magic to summon the endless domain of death. Dmitri spoke, slightly surprised. I didn't expect you to still be able to use such terrifying power. In that case, I'll show you my strongest magic as well. Dmitri began to chant, O noble King Odin, grant me the power to slay the Lord of the Undead. Seeing this, the man's face showed utter shock. Are you trying to use the Eye of Odin? My domain of death can't possibly block that. The next moment, the night sky was pierced by the crimson eye of Odin, like that of a god. The Eye of Odin launched an indiscriminate attack upon the ground, and the domain of death vanished instantly. The attack rushed toward the man like a meteor. The man, who had been panicking just moments ago, revealed a triumphant smile upon seeing this. Dmitri, standing to the side, had a bad feeling. Why is he still smiling? The man immediately took out the watch in his hand. The watch instantly absorbed the power of the Eye of Odin, and a notification sounded in the man's mind. The artifact, the Kronos watch, has met its condition. Absorbing the power of one constellation will activate the power of regression. Hunter Regoa will return to the past. The next moment, the watch erupted in a blinding light. Time began to rewind. Regoa showed a look of triumph. Kronos must absorb the power of a constellation to be activated. But I never received a constellation's blessing. My only option was to use your power of Odin, Dmitri. At that moment, Dmitri had no idea what was happening. Regoa's taunt was the only answer Dmitri received. Next time, I will completely destroy all 7 of your great families. And just then, the hands on the Kronos in his hand stopped moving instantly. Regoa's figure began to turn transparent. Then, suddenly, Regoa woke up in a bed. He was really back. It had been a gamble. The result was just as he'd hoped. The 7 great families. To think they'd band together to hunt me down for such an absurd reason. He looked at the pocket watch in his hand. Inside the first dimension, a prompt indicated that the Kronos was damaged. The reason was that only one of the same item can exist in the same spacetime. He had possessed it for so long, and although he knew how to use it, without constellation power, he had never once truly used it. It was thanks to this divine artifact that he had managed to survive. The time he chose to return to was the day he awakened the system. Looking at the system panel before him, he could choose a profession that suited him. Since he had returned to the past, his stats had all reverted to their initial state. His traits were also the same as in his previous life. Under any circumstances, resists all mental attacks and remains calm. Currently, he had 3 professions to choose from: warrior, mage, and priest. Looking at the profession options before him, he knew he didn't need to be in such a hurry to choose. The most important thing now was to use his knowledge from his past life to grow stronger quickly. A few moments later, at the hunter's market. What item would you like to purchase? We have long swords crafted by top-tier companies, as well as various pieces of equipment made from elven branches. Regoa said, I want to buy the C-rank cursed ring. Hearing this, the woman froze for a moment. Did you say you want to buy the cursed ring? That ring contains hundreds of curses. Anyone who wears it goes insane. Regoa replied, that's the one I want. In the end, he spent 2 million to buy it. At first, the clerk tried to persuade him very seriously. Once this ring is sold, we are no longer responsible for any after-sales issues. But Regoa bought it without a moment's hesitation. Although the ring looked covered in rust, like some broken piece of junk, and its stats didn't seem to have any benefits. In fact, the wearer would even be subjected to a terrible curse. But only Regoa understood the true way to use this ring. He then put it on. The next moment, the power of the curse began to manifest. This was just as Regoa had expected. All the knowledge of the necromancer was hidden within the ring. He just had to overcome the curse to obtain it. Immediately after, Regoa was dragged into darkness. He scanned his surroundings. It turned out this curse was an illusion of Dimitri. Dimitri's voice echoed in his ears, you don't have constellation power. And you still think you can defeat me? The attack contained within the constellation was suddenly triggered. Seeing this, Regoa stood frozen on the spot, then chuckled. So, it was just an illusion. The next moment, the attack stopped instantly right in front of him. A prompt appeared. You have passed the trial of the dark ring. Power of the necromancer has awakened from the ring. Immediately after, a terrifying necromantic aura enveloped him. A terrifying necromantic aura enveloped him. A terrifying necromantic aura enveloped Regoa. A prompt appeared. You have completed the trial of the dark ring. Necromancer's magic has been awakened. He was pulled back to reality and, without hesitation, clicked on Necromancer in the profession selection. A prompt appeared. Obtained exclusive Necromancer skill, Death Guidance. Attributes can be freely converted. Cost reduced by 20%. Obtained skill, Death Guide. Magic cost to cast or maintain summons is reduced by 20%. The 2 skills he just got were both passive. Currently, he only had 2 active abilities he could use. The first skill was Summon Undead. Second skill is controlling the skeletons of the summoned undead. Although my mind holds a vast amount of experience as a necromancer from my past life, my power level has currently reverted to 1 star. In order to defeat Dimitri, I need to take a different path than in my last life. I must also obtain a guardian star. Only then can I further increase my power. Regoa boarded a plane heading for the temple. The Temple of Kronos. It's a ruin where the gods once fought. According to my memories from my past life, this dilapidated ruin isn't as simple as it looks on the surface. The Kronos watch has another purpose. It's the key to opening a time passage. And this seemingly ordinary stone platform is the entrance to that passage. The moment he touched it, the Kronos watch glowed once again. The originally dilapidated ruin slowly began to be restored by the power of space-time. In the blink of an eye, the man seemed to have traveled through time to the past. This is the ruin hidden within the time rift. Just then, a voice echoed beside him. Who are you? A massive god appeared before the man. Seeing this, the man wasn't flustered at all. Everything was just as he had predicted. It is an honor to meet you, venerable master of the gods. Kronos. Hearing this, Kronos was stunned for a moment. Then, he looked at Regoa and noticed the watch in the man's hand. I sensed the reversal of time earlier. It seems it was you, little one, who turned back time. As you can see, I used your divine artifact. Even with my artifact, it's extremely difficult to reverse time. Little one, you must have been a very powerful human before. Kronos is the master of the gods, and also the father of Zeus, the king of the gods. But he was defeated in the war against Olympus and gradually forgotten by mortals. Kronos, former master of the gods, don't you want revenge? If you are willing to become my guardian star, then I can help you get that revenge. A weak human, one who doesn't even possess Olympian divine power, dares to try and command me? I was able to reach the 9-star level without the blessing of a constellation. That means I am qualified to partner with you. Besides, my target for revenge, Zeus, is among them. Zeus betrayed his own father during your final battle. You must want to make him regret it, too. Right now, the Earth is under the control of the 7 great constellations. The 7 great families are their agents among humans. Furthermore, you are also the rumored god of destruction. The power I pursue, the power of the undead, is a perfect match for you. Lord Kronos controls harvest and time. The scythe is a symbol of the harvest. And it's also the symbol of the Grim Reaper. Hearing this, Kronos became enraged. Human, are you equating the death of mortals with my concept of death? I believe our interests are aligned. Moreover, the power I believe in is also death. If you truly don't want revenge, and are content to be suppressed by the other constellations forever, then I have nothing more to say. At these words, Kronos stared intently at the man. Regoa felt extremely uneasy. If he couldn't get Kronos' help, he would have to find another way. The next moment, Kronos burst out laughing. You passed. I was just conducting a simple test to see if you truly desire revenge against the other constellations. I will become your guardian star. Let's get our revenge on those constellations together. The next moment, Regoa's body shuddered. He felt a scorching power flood into him. The scene changes. The man left the temple. Kronos was filled with shock. After so many years, the outside world has changed so much. Now that I've come out with you, my constellation will slowly reappear in the pantheon. Although my constellation is reappearing, I no longer have any followers among humankind. So, little one, you must help me gradually expand my influence. This way, your power will also increase. You must make the name of my constellation resonate throughout the world once more. At that moment, Regoa couldn't help but look at his status window. As a necromancer, he had received a buff from holy magic, due to Kronos' unique nature. Of power, he also obtained a new skill. He never expected that he could freely use both holy magic and undead magic. Everything was ready. The ancient garden dungeon should be the perfect place for an experiment. Regoa arrived at the city's central portal and glanced around. There were many new players nearby looking to form parties. Just as Regoa was spacing out, someone next to him asked if he wanted to join their party. Regoa spoke, as if to himself. A low-level dungeon like this doesn't require a party. The man who asked gave an awkward smile. He then walked back, looking at Regoa, who wasn't far away. The man couldn't help but speak up. He looks like a complete newbie. Can he really handle it on his own? A girl beside him pouted. Bro, he didn't even join our party. You don't have to worry about him. At that moment, Regoa chuckled lightly. Time to begin. Although the ancient garden dungeon was only 1 star, the instance itself was ridiculously huge. I wonder where all the monsters are hiding. In the bushes not far away, a monster holding a longsword was about to ambush the man. Regoa sensed the monster nearby. I didn't expect to be found so quickly. The next moment, the monster launched a sneak attack from behind, rushing out at an incredible speed, determined to land a one-hit kill. Sensing the movement behind him, Regoa simply sidestepped to dodge. As he dodged, he grabbed the goblin from behind. You'll be the first test for my new skill. The skill activated, converting undead magic into holy magic before releasing it. As soon as the attribute conversion was complete, he immediately used the holy spell, Life Drain. The goblin's life force depleted rapidly. Regoa was slightly stunned. He hadn't expected the life drain cast with holy magic to be so fast. He then used undead magic to drain it again. Regoa felt a faint, almost imperceptible enhancement in his body. A prompt appeared. You have absorbed the goblin's life force. Your base stats have been enhanced. Strength increased by 0.1, agility increased by 0.1. If I kill a large number of monsters, does that mean my own stats will get a massive boost? Are you surprised by your skill's effect? This is the benefit I have brought you. An enhancement to your stats. Regoa really hadn't expected this. Now he could try his other skill. I hope this skill doesn't disappoint me. Rise, and fight for me. Summon undead. The moment the skill was cast, the previously dead goblin suddenly rose to its feet. A system prompt appeared. Undead goblin has been awakened. Stats increased by 97%. Goblin type. Zombie. Race. Undead. Now that I have a summon, I can relax a little. Next up, it's time for the real dungeon raid. Just then, several more goblins emerged from the jungle nearby. I was just about to test this summon's combat power. Your timing is perfect. The next moment, the goblin instantly charged forward. It had no combat skills to speak of, simply sinking its teeth into the other monster. The monster that was attacked froze for a moment, as if wondering why its own kind was attacking it. The other goblin viciously stabbed the undead goblin through the heart. However, since the goblin had become an undead creature, even when struck in a vital spot, they're hard to kill. Regoa then grabbed another goblin. These are basically walking stat points. I can't let any of them get away. The goblin, its stats completely drained, was then tossed to the ground. Behind him, the undead goblin finished off the last monster. The skill can absorb stats from living beings. I wonder if it works on dead ones too. The next moment, the man's face lit up with excitement. It looks like this skill works on corpses as well. In that case, it's time to pick up the pace. In the eyes of a necromancer, as long as you can kill one monster, the mission is already halfway done. Based on my current abilities, I can perfectly control 20 of them in battle. In the next moment, he whispered, "Summon undead." All the dead goblins rose to their feet. Goblins I summon are tireless tools of war, and on top of that, their stats are boosted by 97%. The necromancer class is truly one of the best. He then issued a command. Kill every living thing around you, without exception. The living goblins instantly fell into chaos. In just a few moments, all 20 goblins were under his control. Having an undead army like this to help me level up is incredibly efficient. The remaining goblins fled in a panic. And right at that moment, a whisper came from nearby. Fire arrow. The fleeing goblin was instantly killed. Seeing this, Regoa called out, "You can come out now. We weren't following you. We just ran into you by chance." As they spoke, Regoa felt they looked familiar. Then, he suddenly remembered. They're the twin shadow archers. I thought they looked familiar back at the gate. In the future, they tried to assassinate me. Is it going to be a pain to deal with them? Regoa chuckled. Right now, they're only at 1-star strength. In my memories, their team has always been just the two of them, a brother and a sister. In that case, eliminating a future enemy now would be the right decision. Regoa replied, we don't need to get rid of them. They don't have a personal grudge against me. In my past life, they were just carrying out an assassination contract. Just then, the man asked, are all these minions controlled by you? The Necromancer class is still a secret. It'll be some time before people find out about it. That's right, all of these undead minions are under my control. Going through dungeons alone is convenient. But I need help collecting the drops. The dead goblins all have crystals inside them. Outside, they can be sold for cash. Regoa asked, would you be willing to work with me? The man asked, confused, what kind of partnership are you talking about? I'll handle defeating all the enemies. You'll be responsible for collecting the crystals from the monsters in the back. We'll split the total number of crystals 8 to 2. Hearing this, the three of them started discussing. They had never seen anyone control monsters before. They didn't think Regoa could be trusted. After a long while, Regoa couldn't believe they were taking so long to discuss such a simple matter. If my minions could just pick up the crystals themselves, I wouldn't even need to partner with them. Just then, the man spoke up. I agree to your proposal. But, I think the split should be 50-50. There are 3 of us, so even with a 50-50 split, our individual shares will be pretty small. The highest I'll go is a 70-30 split. If you can't agree to that, then the deal is off. Boss, are you sure you want to work with him? He doesn't seem hostile towards us. If he really wanted to attack us, we'd already be dead. If we accept his offer, I think we'll earn a lot more than we would on our own. A short while later, the man collapsed, crying out, let me rest for a minute. This is the first time I've ever collected so many crystals my hands have gone numb. I knew we'd get a big haul, but this is completely beyond my expectations. Just who is this man? The power he's showing, it completely redefines my whole idea of what a hunter is. Hey, stop spacing out. There are still so many crystals here. Hearing that, the man gave an awkward laugh. Can we just rest for a little while? You can all rest easy. Just don't forget what you have to do. Everyone's impression of Regoa was, this guy is definitely not human. The speed at which we're collecting crystals can't even keep up with how fast he's killing monsters. The surrounding monsters have basically been wiped out by me. I should check my stat increases now. Only 3 hours have passed. My stats have already increased by 21.2. At this moment, my attributes are already on par with an average level 4 player. It's about time. I should go and eliminate the Lord. With that, he walked deeper into the forest. Before long, he found the Lord sitting on its throne, its guards staring intently at the man. The Lord muttered, it's been a long time since a human dared to challenge me. Seeing this, the man couldn't help but laugh out loud. A mere goblin really thinks it's the master of this dungeon? Girl beside him explained, he's the lord of this region. He's also considered a nightmare by all new players. Sensing the man's contempt for it, the Lord roared, seize that man. The moment the words were spoken, a horde of goblins charged toward him. Even if you are the Lord, in my eyes, you're all just lowly goblins. Go, my servants, charge them. Receiving the command, the servants rushed forward, and the goblins were immediately thrown into chaos. They were at a huge numerical disadvantage. Soon, a servant was torn apart from the head down. At that moment, a notification showed that the number of servants had decreased by 1. Seeing this, the man wasn't surprised at all. He just whispered, arise, my servant. A nearby corpse rose again, becoming another servant. The onlookers couldn't believe their eyes. He can actually reanimate corpses to become his slaves. Sensing the shift on the battlefield, the Lord couldn't help but stand up. He waved the staff in his hand. The next moment, countless skull staves were thrust into the ground. This was the Lord Wizard's ability, Emblem of Honor. It furiously bolstered the surrounding goblins. I saw the goblins instantly undergo a bloodthirsty transformation. It was as if they had forgotten all pain. The man chuckled softly, it's just some low-level buff magic. At the same time, the totems on the ground were destroyed. The Lord Wizard was enraged. A mere human dares to destroy my totems? Next, I'll show you what true despair looks like. This staff was forged from the resentment of hundreds of goblins, he yelled, unleashing mass frenzy. Instantly, all the surviving goblins around them roared at the sky. System prompt. Goblins' strength, agility, and all other stats increased by 50%. The tireless and pain-immune goblins began to eliminate the controlled servants. Due to the overwhelming number of goblins, the servants were eventually wiped out by their human wave tactics. There was no panic on the man's face, just slight surprise. Is this your trump card? Now it's my turn to put on a show, isn't it? The trump card you're relying on is nothing but a joke in my eyes. A stream of undead energy slowly appeared in his palm. The man uttered, bone control. As if breaking free from its master's grasp, the staff suddenly flew outward. It landed perfectly in Regoa's hand. Seeing this, the wizard screamed. What in the world did you do? Give it back to me. All items made from bone are completely under my control. Upon investigation, he found that the resentment within the staff was far greater than he had imagined. It seems the goblins you sacrificed to make this staff harbor a deep resentment for you as well. Since this staff is yours, then I'll give it back to you. The moment he finished speaking, the skeletal staff shot towards the wizard. Seeing this, the wizard was horrified. He realized the approaching staff was no longer under his control, and in that moment of shock, the staff instantly pierced through him. The wizard lord would have never imagined in his wildest dreams that he'd be thrown violently to the ground. All the while, Wuxia just chuckled lightly. What a foolish wizard. This expedition turned out to be more fruitful than I expected. His stats had increased a lot. However, the other three wore troubled expressions. While Wuxia fought the lord, they were the ones who had to clean up the vast number of goblins he killed. As the four of them left the dungeon, they became the center of attention. The sheer number of magic stones on the man's back was unbelievable. Wuxia said, we can sell these magic stones directly at the shop and convert them to cash. If you're not in a hurry for the money, I can take the magic stones to the central city to sell them. That way, we can cut out the middleman's fee. How much do you think they'll sell for? The man thought for a moment. Around 5 million, I'd say. As they spoke, Wuxia took the staff from his back. This item is practically worthless. You wouldn't be able to sell it anywhere else. This staff is filled with a terrifying curse. Although it has a stat that increases mental power, it will corrupt the owner's mind. Plus, the required class to equip it is a priest. A priest's resistance to abnormalities is already extremely low. But for me, a curse like this is no threat at all. So, consider this item sold to me. We can talk about the specific payment after you've sold the magic stones. How could we possibly take more money from you? By letting us partner with you this time, we've already earned what would normally be a full year's income. This item belongs entirely to you, Mr. Wuxia. I'm sure no one has any objections. Seeing this, Wuxia grew to appreciate the captain's way of handling things even more. In that case, I won't refuse. Let's continue working together tomorrow. The next day, in the ancient garden dungeon. Wuxia, we really can't go on. There are too many, we don't have the strength to deal with them all. We even brought 3 extra bags just in case. And they filled up even faster today than yesterday. If that's the case, you all should take the magic stones back to town first. Kronos was confused. Why did you deliberately send them back? Because, don't want anyone to know what I'm about to do. He then walked deeper into the dungeon. The dungeon didn't just contain goblins. Different areas had different types of monsters. Faced with an attack from the frogmen, Wuxia unhesitatingly sent his minions into battle. It was obvious that the frogmen's stats were significantly higher than the goblins. In no time at all, a large number of his minions had fallen at the hands of the frogmen. But thanks to his minions feeling no pain, a few frogmen were also killed in the chaotic battle. He prepared to summon the dead frogmen. A moment later, a large number of the frogmen had become his thralls. With the help of the frogmen, he would be much more confident in his next actions. In an ancient hall deep within the dungeon, this ancient hall looks like it hasn't been visited in a very long time. You'll see in a moment. He then pulled out a deep green heart. This is a frogman's heart. Now, take the blood from the wizard killed earlier. He dripped it onto the frogman's heart, and in the next moment, the entire heart began to tremble. The once still heart began to beat ceaselessly, as if it had come back to life. The system's voice rang out. You have successfully triggered the secret of the ancient garden. Ancient trial grounds are opening. He was then transported into an arena. In his past life, it was only by chance that he learned of this secret. However, in his past life, his star level was too high, and he could no longer enter the ancient garden dungeon. Wuxia was very curious what kind of trial this would be. From within the curtain of light, a giant, deep purple claw emerged. A look of shock slowly spread across Wuxia's face. This was clearly a 1-star trial. So why would a dragonkin appear? A prompt followed. Survive against the dragonkin for 10 minutes to receive your reward. The trial grounds were created by the constellation gods for the very purpose of selecting outstanding representatives. Seeing this, Kronos couldn't help but speak up. At your current power level, you'll be lucky to last 10 seconds. It seems I'll have to wait another few hundred years for a new representative. If I remember correctly, this is a 1-star dungeon. That means the dragonkin's power should also be suppressed to a 1-star level. But even a 1-star dragonkin is not something an ordinary person can handle. What I need to do now is figure out how to stall for time. All minions, prepare to attack. Just as he gave the order, the dragonkin stomped furiously on the ground. In the next instant, its figure vanished. When it reappeared, it was already right in front of him. At that very moment, a frogman charged forward without the slightest hesitation, trying to halt its advance, clinging to the dragonkin's shoulders and body. Even a dragonkin should need a moment to shake it free, but the creature merely revealed a look of contempt. Its right fist slammed into the frogman on its left arm. A single punch was all it took to kill it. In less than a minute, all of the frogmen clinging to it had been killed. Seeing this, Wuxia wasn't surprised at all. In fact, he was delighted. You see, frogmen are naturally poisonous, and after being turned into minions, that poison becomes even more potent. So even though the dragonkin could kill the frogmen quickly, it would still be contaminated by the poison. Its speed would be reduced. After finishing off the frogmen, the dragonkin immediately charged toward Wuxia. In its eyes, Wuxia was the designated primary target. Seeing the dragonkin charging at him, Wuxia immediately raised his staff and channeled his mana into it. The defensive power of the bone staff began to increase, and a protective barrier of light formed in front of him. But even with the staff's enhancement, completely defending against the attack would be extremely difficult. And just as the dragonkin smashed against the barrier, Wuxia detonated it. In a half-second the dragonkin was stunned. Wuxia controlled his staff, using his bone control skill to attack the creature. Although the staff's attack was incredibly swift, it only managed to pierce the back of the dragonkin's hand. As the dragonkin roared in pain, the other frogmen charged in again, biting fiercely into the dragonkin's body, trying to spread more of their poison. And just as planned, the dragonkin's reactions began to slow down. Its nerves started to go numb, and it felt a sense of paralysis creeping in. But the pride of the dragonkin would not allow it to fall in such a pathetic way. It forced itself to keep fighting, striking down the frogmen one after another. But ultimately, the violent movements only made the poison spread faster, and the dragonkin collapsed heavily to its knees. Regoa felt so relieved. Thank goodness this dungeon was only 1 star. He then recalled his staff. If the dungeon had been any higher level, even he would have had a hard time dealing with a creature like that. Then, he walked over to the fallen dragonoid. Waving his arm, he whispered, "Activate life drain." At the same time, a system prompt appeared. The reward is about to be distributed. Skill: Crown of Tenacity. And it accelerates the flow of your mana. This is a passive skill. If you're ever hit by a control type ability, it'll reduce the duration by a significant amount. The body of a dragonoid is an excellent material. He then stored the dragonoid's body in his ring. What are you planning to do with the dragonoid's body? To forge the perfect combat tool, of course. But to make full use of the dragonoid's body, I'll need an alchemist. Afterwards, Regoa arrived in Ishikawa Prefecture. According to his memories from his past life, he should be living right here. This place is just like he remembered. It hasn't changed at all. Suddenly, an explosion went off. Regoa gave a resigned smile. This part hasn't changed either. A figure emerged from the smoke and dust. Regoa smiled. I knew it was him. This incredibly cunning-looking man is named Xianxia. In the future, he would become the greatest alchemist on the entire continent. Xianxia, do you have a moment? Xianxia said he had time, but, who are you? My name is Regoa. I came here hoping to borrow your alchemy tools. Borrow my tools? And why should I lend them to you? If you lend me your tools, I'll make it worth your while. You're currently researching a regeneration potion, aren't you? But you've hit a wall. Xianxia was stunned. How do you know what I'm working on? Regoa said calmly, don't worry. I'll help you finish it. A few moments later, Xianxia was in utter disbelief. The problem that's been stumping me for over half a year, you solved it just like that? It may be finished, but you must be curious to see if it works, right? He then made a small cut on his own hand and immediately poured the potion over the wound. A sizzling sound could be heard. And the small cut instantly healed, good as new. Seeing this, Xianxia's face lit up with excitement. Regoa let out a soft chuckle. I bet you're dying to know the real formula. If you agree to work with me, I'll give you the formula for free. And don't worry, I won't exploit you. We'll split everything 60-40. How does that sound? There's absolutely no downside for you. Take your time and think it over. Then, without waiting for an answer, he brought out the dragonoid. Even though it was dead, the sense of overwhelming pressure it gave off was still terrifying. Xianxia was astonished. What in the world is this creature? I'm a necromancer. I'm thinking of turning it into my servant. If you're curious about this creature, then come give me a hand. Xianxia retorted, I haven't even agreed to work with you. Why should I help you? I'm not helping you. I just have an insatiable curiosity for all sorts of rare creatures. With that, he walked over. Kronos asked, puzzled, why is this friend of yours so wary? Because he was betrayed by a corporation once. Xianxia had a major breakthrough while researching for the biggest corporation in the country. But in the end, my superior stole the credit. Xianxia, the reason you didn't want to work with me, is it because you doubt my abilities? I'll prove myself to you. This is a level 5 magic stone. Melt the magic stone to 42%. Then, fuse the magic stone with the necromancer's curse power. After that, you can engrave the curse power into the dragon man's body. Now I still need an ancient dragon's heart to act as the core. I then made a call to the squad. I'm hoping to find an ancient dragon's heart out on the border. Regoa, our squad has been waiting for a long time. I'm very curious. Why did you choose to come to such a dangerous place this time? Ever since the border dungeon collapsed, this place has been crawling with monsters. I just wanted to meet an old acquaintance. In Regoa's memory, this direction had to be right. Suddenly, a loud footstep echoed. A giant orc holding a spear appeared, trying to launch a sneak attack. But on the other side, Regoa was already prepared. Before the orc could even throw it, the man's own bone attack had already struck the orc's body. I had intended to strike the orc's fatal weakness, but I didn't expect it to dodge the kill spot at the last second. Feeling the pain, the orc viciously ripped the bone from its chest and charged towards Regoa. It looked like it was about to tear him to shreds. Regoa's expression became focused. He spoke softly, bone control. The next moment, necromantic power surged towards the giant orc. In just the blink of an eye, the orc was suddenly impaled by the bones from within its own body. The man was extremely surprised. Regoa could actually control an orc's own bones to kill it. It's nothing special. Now, it's time to continue the hunt. The orc that had just died was reawakened by a necromantic summoning spell. In Regoa's memory, there was also an orc fortress here. This was his true destination. He then announced their next destination, the orc camp. Upon hearing this, the group was both excited and worried. Could they really clear out the orc camp so smoothly? They then started heading towards the camp. All the orcs they encountered along the way were dealt with easily. Regoa thought to himself that it was already evening. They could only stay put and rest for the night. He turned around only to find the squad had already set up the tents. What a laid-back bunch of guys. Late that night, Regoa was deep in thought. Eye level has already reached 16. It's high enough to explore some of the necromancer spells. He then sent his consciousness into the ring's knowledge space. Due to the system's limitations, there were many high-level wizard spells he couldn't view. The ones he could see were all basic spells that he had looked down on in his past life. But on second thought, a lot of the magic he'd scoffed at in his past life would probably be quite useful for him now. You have to remember, when he became a necromancer in his past life, he had already reached the 7-star level. So in his past life, he never bothered to study low-level necromancy. As the man delved deeper into his studies, a system prompt appeared. You have learned a new skill. The next morning, the squad members woke up in a daze. But what greeted their eyes was a giant orc covered in bones. The man was so startled he jumped. He yelled, "What the heck is that thing?" Regoa just smiled. "This is an orc I just modified. I call them armored orcs. It's a skill I just acquired. It allows me to turn bones into armor for protection. Since everyone's awake, we're heading to the orc camp." A moment later, the group saw the orc camp. The camp was quite a bit larger than he had imagined. And just at that moment, the orc sentry immediately rang a bell, shouting that there were enemies. Countless orcs poured out from the orc camp. I didn't expect the orcs to be so vigilant. He immediately used bone control, and the weapons made from long-prepared bones struck out swiftly. The orc at the very front was killed instantly. Regoa said softly, "I really hate it when you all shout so much." As he spoke, the orc chief also walked out from the camp. He roared to the sky, and the orcs in the camp instantly drew their bows and arrows. Just as they were about to fire, the squad leader immediately rushed forward. He activated his class's defensive skill. He hadn't expected the orcs to actually know how to coordinate an attack. Seeing this, the girl took out her crossbow, and dozens of arrows instantly poured out. Her target was the charging orcs. Regoa just stood there, smiling. As expected of the future, twin shadow archer. For a moment, the numerous orcs fell into a chaotic brawl. And what Regoa had to do was eliminate the orc chief. Sensing Regoa walking towards him, the orc chief stared him down. He raised his giant axe and swung it toward Regoa. Watching the incoming attack, Regoa's expression didn't change at all. He whispered one phrase, "Bone control." Countless bones, imbued with necrotic power, rushed towards the orc chief, striking him indiscriminately all over his body. Feeling the pain, the chief tried to pull out the bones that had struck him. Regoa knew very well that he had to kill the orc chief in one go. Otherwise, things would get much harder if the orc entered its berserk mode. The orc chief still wanted to struggle, but his own bones were completely twisted and broken by Regoa, and in the end, he could only fall backward, powerless. It seemed like an easy fight. Regoa's body had also reached its limit. Most of his mana had been consumed in that short time. He then activated his life drain skill. A short moment of life draining restored most of his strength. Just then, the orcs behind him let out whimpering roars. Seeing their chief killed, all the orcs scattered and fled. But in Regoa's eyes, they were all just walking attribute points. How could he let them get away? In a matter of moments, he had taken care of all the orcs. The others in the group couldn't believe it. He killed the orc chief so quickly. And there were magic stones all over the ground. However, Regoa wasn't interested in the magic stones. He was interested in the giant axe the chief had used. This blood axe was the real treasure. Judging by its stats, the more monsters it killed, the more powerful the axe would become. He then handed all the items over to the squad to deal with. He had more important things to do. Clearing out the orcs was just an appetizer. His real target was actually this tree. "Stop hiding and come out." The withered tree gave no response. "Still playing dumb in front of me?" If you don't come out, then I'll just have to destroy this tree. The former world-saving hero, Lee Bolin. The moment his voice fell, the once withered tree instantly erupted with a powerful aura. A dark shadow whispered, "How do you know my name?" "I don't just know your name. I remember all of your deeds by heart." There's a giant monument standing in the central city. The inscription on it records the heroes who gave their lives for the country. And you, from the very beginning when the disaster struck, stood on the front lines fighting to protect humanity. Hearing this, the dark shadow looked pleased. "So, someone still remembers me." Regoa replied, "Don't get the wrong idea. There's no trace of you left on the monument." Hearing this, the shadow's tone turned grim. "What do you mean by that? You haven't forgotten the name Naruhito, have you?" Lee Bolin's thoughts were pulled back 35 years. Faced with an overwhelming crisis, he requested backup more than once. But the only reply he received was that no one else would be sent for reinforcements. Hearing this, the man fell silent. He'd been abandoned, used as bait. They knew full well how dangerous the South Gate was, yet someone had lied to him. They told him the South Gate was safe. Then, a mocking voice came through the communicator. "Thanks to you, we were able to escape from the North Gate so smoothly." Lee Bolin, filled with rage, spoke out, "You knew perfectly well that I would never abandon the civilians left at the South Gate." The cold response still came from the communicator. "Only those who survive have the right to be called heroes." Looking at the large number of civilians around him, Lee Bolin made a startling decision. "You take the civilians and retreat. I'll hold them off here by myself." Hearing this, the team members were in disbelief. The man yelled again and again, "This is an order." Just as the dark shadow was lost in his memories, Rugia pulled his thoughts back to the present. "Naruhito, the one who left you to die, became the hero of that battle. And he erased all records of you. It's incredibly ironic, isn't it? You put your life on the line to protect everyone, but in the end, the glory was stolen by someone else." The dark shadow spoke with rage. "What do you want, finding me here?" Rugia chuckled lightly. "I can help you get revenge. Make Naruhito pay the price. The condition is that you sign a necromantic contract with me, and become one of my immortal servants. To persuade you to join, I've even prepared a top-quality vessel for you." The body of a dragonoid was placed on the ground. Seeing this, the dark shadow froze on the spot and didn't respond for a long time. Ever since he had taken this form, he had never dared to dream of getting revenge. "I can sign a contract with you. I can also obey your orders unconditionally. But I have one absolute bottom line that cannot be crossed. I will not harm any innocent people." Hearing this, Rugia was also a little surprised. He hadn't expected that after all this time, his original principles had never changed. "I accept your condition. I will never misuse your power to harm innocent civilians. Since the conditions are met, then make me your servant." The next moment, Rugia and the Dark Shadow's souls entered into a contract. Alert! Mortal spirit authority obtained. In his past life, he had also signed a contract with the Dark Shadow. And he had trained him into an outstanding knight. Since then, he would occasionally wonder, if he had given him the best possible body from the very beginning, just how powerful would he have become? Having obtained the body, the Dark Shadow instinctively observed his new form. His initial stats were in the hundreds. He also possessed multiple talents, special effects, and various skills. Rugia was thrilled when he saw the stat panel. He never expected that using a soul as the core instead of a dragon heart would result in such a huge surprise. The random stat values were a progressive enhancement. The Dark Shadow's traits from his previous life were also inherited. As a magic warrior, he could freely use the powers of a fighter or a mage. "So, do you like this body? Are there any unusual reactions?" The Dark Shadow moved his body around. "It's not as good as my old self yet, but at least this body still has room for growth. Since that's settled, we should get out of here. From now on, your name is Kashiwagi." Kashiwagi shouted. "You expect a warrior to just follow you like this?" He then looked toward a nearby tent. He tore off the tattered cloth from the top of it. "Even as a servant, I'm still not used to moving around naked. Now we can officially depart." Rugia was at a loss for words. To think a dragonoid would still care about these little details. The scene changes, and Regoa returns to the alchemist Sinya's laboratory. Sinya's face is filled with shock. The dragonoid corpse from a little while ago is actually moving. "This is the most incredible alchemy I have ever seen. I have to work with you." Regoa says it was just good luck finding a suitable soul. "Regoa, can I just punch her? She won't stop touching the man. He's just a weak experimental subject, let her be." Just then, a figure walks over. "Mr. Regoa, we plan to return to the central city first to sell the S-rank magic stone. We hope to have the chance to work together again." After the team leaves, Regoa once again summons his necromantic power. The orc he had killed appears in an instant. An orc chieftain is a very rare material. "Now, what should I make with it?" After thinking for a moment, he activates the body separation skill. The once enormous orc is reduced to nothing but a complete skeleton. He then asks Sinya for a potion she had prepared in advance and drips it onto the bones. The potion's effect is to increase bone strength, just as he had imagined. The former orc is crafted into a guard, its star level reaching 2 stars. He's most vulnerable when using his life siphon skill. Now, this guard can protect him while he casts it. Why did you have to choose a skeleton for a guard? Because skeletons don't decay easily. Besides, bones are suitable for me to enhance. And more importantly, regular minions have a time limit, but a skeleton guard can protect me 24 hours a day. Xianxia, watch over things for me for a bit. I have something very important I need to do first. I'm going to the Pantheon to acquire a holy magic spell. Xianxia freezes on the spot, as if she'd misheard him. You, a necromancer, are going to learn holy magic? Giving holy magic to a skeleton. That's simply unimaginable. I may be a necromancer by trade, but deep down, I'm a devout priest. Has the world gone mad? What kind of dark arts master believes in holy magic? Regoa changes the subject. Let's not get hung up on my faith for now. Have you patented your regeneration potion? Hearing this, Xianxia says, I already applied 2 days ago. The approval should come through soon, but there's one problem. The exhibition won't be held until next year. Only at an event like that can we properly promote it. As for the promotion, I've had some ideas for a while now. He then asks for the regeneration potion. When the opportunity arises, I'll help promote it. If this promotion goes well, neither of us will have to worry about money in the future. Looking at the daydreaming Regoa, she thinks, is this guy really a priest who believes in holy magic? The scene changes. The Pantheon is a miracle that suddenly appeared after the calamity. Large number of hunters gather at the Pantheon, setting up stalls and taking the opportunity to acquire various holy magic spells. Many of them sell relics obtained from dungeons. After looking around, Regoa doesn't find any relics with a holy aura. He then heads towards the upper part of the Pantheon. I got a notification that I can get a new skill since my level went up. But do I really have to climb 108 steps? Stairs this high are pure torture for a mage class like me. Kronos, I've been climbing for so long. How much farther is it? Don't be impatient. It looks like you're only halfway there. Regoa is filled with helplessness. He can only keep moving forward, hoping that this long climb will get him the magic he wants. A moment later, Regoa finally arrives at the top of the Pantheon. Countless constellations are enshrined above. Notification. The wealthy constellation shows its disgust for you. Notification. The constellation, Shrouded Death, looks very suspicious. The King of Abydos is displeased with you, Kronos said with a smile. I didn't expect so many constellations to look down on you the moment you arrived. My constellation has also appeared in the Pantheon. Let me bestow upon you my skill. Since Kronos' constellation is newly born, Kronos looked around for a moment before finding and tapping on his own constellation. Activating the power of bestowal, a notification appeared. The constellation of the Lord of the Gods has reappeared. It has now been recorded in the Pantheon's roster. At the same time, a notification appeared. You have obtained Evil Blessing and Blade of Vengeance. Evil Blessing enhances dark abilities and increases attribute values. Blade of Vengeance stacks 1 layer each time you are hit by an enemy. The more stacks, the higher the retaliatory damage. Kronos said, this is my ultimate skill. Regoa chuckled lightly. You old geezer, the skill you gave me is barely passable. Just then, a notification appeared. The constellation that stands proudly above the firmament lacks the required divine aura. Please attract more constellation believers to raise the constellation status in the Pantheon. Seeing this, Regoa was actually quite excited. He was once a 9-star being. Attracting believers would be incredibly easy for him. With that, Regoa left the Pantheon. A voice called out from behind him. Why did you come out of the temple? Regoa, it's been a long time. Regoa was confused. Who are you? Do we know each other? Hearing this, the man was stunned for a moment. I'm Satak. Have you really forgotten me? Oh, I remember now. You're that little punk who used to go around extorting people. I remember when I worked at the coffee shop, you were shaking down my coworker. And then I beat the crap out of you. I'm pretty sure I broke your nose that time. Your nose healed up pretty fast. The man stared daggers at Regoa. The next moment, he regained his composure. We're not from the same world anymore. See this emblem? I've already joined the Algeri Guild. You're just a bottom-feeding insect. I have no reason to see you as an opponent anymore. But from where I'm standing, you haven't changed one bit. You're still the same weak little punk. You just got lucky last time and knocked me out with a sneak attack. He swung a vicious punch toward Regoa. And just at that moment, a hand suddenly grabbed Satak. The person who arrived was none other than Satak's squad leader. Joman said, don't cause trouble in the city. Captain, this guy dared to insult me. He's looking down on our Algeri Guild. Since you know we're from the Algeri Guild, and you still dare to have this attitude, then let's settle this with a match. Captain, are you serious? You want me to fight this guy? I saw him come out of the temple. He's probably a newbie who just became a hunter. Regoa said softly, if you want a match, I accept. Or are you still traumatized from when I beat you up? Are you afraid of me? You asked for this. I'm going to make you pay. At the Algeri match arena, Regoa announced, I am a cleric. So, your opponent is my contracted partner. You'll be fighting it. Don't worry, inside the match's magic circle, he won't be in any mortal danger. I'll make you regret making an enemy of me. Faced with the weakling's taunts, Regoa had no intention of responding. Kashiwagi slowly stepped forward. I didn't expect to run into someone from the Algeri guild so soon. Today is my first battle. I'll use you to get used to my new body. Regoa spoke to his partner. This time, our opponent is from an enemy guild. I don't need to hold back, do I? As much as I'd love to see you unleash your fury, it's probably best not to end this too quickly. There's still something I want to try. Regoa, you're really putting me in a tough spot. It's like asking a human to show mercy to a mosquito. It's a very difficult thing to do. Watching the man charge at him recklessly, Kashiwagi thought to himself, alright, I'll try to go easy on him. As the man attacked, Kashiwagi simply leapt lightly into the air. He then threw a punch, aiming straight for the man. But, since he wasn't used to his new body yet, the man managed to sidestep and dodge the blow. Now at his side, the man quickly dropped into a crouch and thrust his spear toward Kashiwagi's lower abdomen. It was a cunningly placed attack. Seeing this, the captain smiled, remarking that his footwork was much faster than in their previous training sessions. But in the next instant, the spear was suddenly caught in mid-thrust. Did you really think an attack that slow would work on me? Attacking from the side like that means you have zero defense. Realizing this, the man tried to pull his spear back and retreat. But no matter how hard he pulled, the spear wouldn't move an inch. You should be grateful this is just a training match. If this were a real fight, you'd be dead already. He postured, ready to land a devastating blow, but then Kashiwagi suddenly remembered. Regoa had told him to go easy. At the last second, he changed his punch into a knife hand strike. He struck the man in the chest using only 30% of his strength. But even at less than half power, it was enough to make the man feel an excruciating, bone-deep pain. Seeing this, Regoa stepped forward and said, I told you to go easy on him. You still need to hold back a little more. The winner is obvious. You should concede, don't you think? Who said the match is over? I can still get up. He still won't give up. So, Regoa, since he hasn't conceded, this fight isn't over. And at that very moment, the man charged again, spear in hand, moving with incredible speed. But to Kashiwagi, the seemingly swift attack looked painfully slow. With a vicious stomp, Kashiwagi shattered the ground beneath him, and in that instant, the man lost his balance. You're just a rookie with no real combat experience. Your moves are too simple. Seeing the man off balance, Kashiwagi delivered a simple kick to his knee. The man's knee shattered instantly. And keep in mind, Kashiwagi had only used 10% of his strength this time. As the kick landed, he raised his hand for a chop. This time, it's really over. Kashiwagi's strike wasn't even moving fast, but the man was too frozen in fear to even cry out. In the end, all he could do was close his eyes and accept his fate. But at the very last moment, Kashiwagi stopped his attack. The captain on the sidelines was furious, shocked that his man had lost so easily. At that exact moment, the match system announced that the fight was over. Your leg, it's a compound fracture. I'll go get a priest, right now. Regoa stepped forward. You're looking at one. Of course I know you're a priest. But his bones are completely pulverized. A one-star priest can't possibly heal that. Unless, you have another way? Of course, I carry a regeneration potion with me. A regeneration potion? I've never heard of such a thing. Even if something like that existed, a single bottle would cost millions. Of course you haven't heard of it. Because this regeneration potion isn't on the market yet. Look, I'm doing you a favor by treating him. If we delay treatment, he could be stuck in a wheelchair for life. As he poured the potion, a smile spread across his face. What a perfect opportunity for some publicity, he thought. The moment the potion dripped onto the wound, the shattered knee began to visibly mend. The captain couldn't believe his eyes. In just a few moments, even the bone was completely healed. To have a potion like this is like having a second life. Where in the world did you get a potion like this? Hearing this, Regoa smiled. This guy is starting to take the bait. You're a squad leader from the Aragiri guild, right? Your power level should be around 3-star, correct? If you want to know the source of the potion, then you'll have to duel my summoned creature. Aren't you satisfied with winning the match already? If that's the case, I accept your challenge. But regardless of the outcome, you have to tell me where the potion came from. Of course, no problem. Besides, the last match ended way too quickly. I haven't even shown my full strength yet. The next moment, Kashiwagi once again entered his pre-battle stance. The moment the match began, the squad leader rushed forward with extreme speed, his long sword becoming a blur of light. Relentlessly striking Kashiwagi's body, the squad leader was slightly surprised. My swordsmanship is famous for its speed, yet this dragonoid can not only see my attacks. He can even block every single one of them. The next moment, alert! Due to continuous attacks, your defense is starting to decrease. Sensing the change in his body, Kashiwagi immediately prepared to counterattack. He stomped on the ground as well, trying to make his opponent lose his balance. But at that exact moment, the squad leader leapt into the air. Nearby, Regoa watched intently. Just as I expected, the dragonoid body is still too clumsy for him. It's hard to adapt to a speed-type opponent. But even though it's difficult to deal with speed-based opponents, Kashiwagi is very experienced. He can still clearly see his opponent's attacks. Kashiwagi was delighted. I can use this fight to get used to this dragonoid body. Kashiwagi, I'm very satisfied with your performance. I am your summoner, after all. I can't just stand by and watch you be at a disadvantage. The next moment, an evil blessing filled Kashiwagi's body. His senses, speed, and strength were all greatly enhanced. Seeing the effect of such a skill, even Regoa was taken aback. This is truly the power of the former Lord of the Gods. To have such a terrifying effect at only a beginner skill level. Once this skill reaches a high level, it'll be unimaginable. Boy, are you amazed by my power? Feel free to worship me with all your heart. I'll pass on the worshipping for now. We can talk after I finish this fight. Now then, it's our time to play. He then activated the Blade of Retaliation skill. The evil blessing and Blade of Retaliation stacked on Kashiwagi simultaneously. Regoa smiled. Now you can fight however you want. Your body is no longer human. You need to abandon your old human way of fighting. Seeing this, the squad leader still tried to win with speed, bombarding Kashiwagi with a storm of attacks. System alerts rang out continuously. Damage has been stacked. Though what if my stats have been lowered a lot? I'm still a 3-star from the guild. That's more than enough to deal with a 1-star dragonoid. However, faced with the man's assault, all Kashiwagi did was defend. He understood perfectly. I'm not human anymore. I should abandon this human way of thinking about combat. As I am now, I won't die no matter how badly I'm injured. I should seize the opportunity, drop my defense, and close the distance for a melee. My advantage right now is my powerful physique and terrifying strength. The squad leader never imagined that Kashiwagi would abandon his defense and suddenly attack him. Although his longsword had struck the dragonoid countless times, the creature's speed and strength seemed completely unaffected. In a moment of distraction, he was sent flying by Kashiwagi's close-range blow. That single hit dropped his HP by 50%. Is that thing really just a 1-star summon? I absolutely have to change my strategy. I can't let that dragonkin pin me down in close combat again. Suddenly, the squad leader seemed to have figured it out. He put all his strength into his ankles and charged towards Regoa at a terrifying speed. No matter how I attack the dragonkin, it's useless. In that case, I just have to eliminate its master, the summoner. If I can just defeat this 1-star priest, the match will be over in an instant. I was going to crush your summon, but in the end, I'll just have to defeat you first. But just as the longsword was about to strike, Regoa showed no intention of dodging. You're such an idiot. Did you really think I wouldn't anticipate such an obvious weakness? Then, he snapped his fingers. Blade of Retribution, activate. All the attacks that had originally landed on the dragonkin were converted into the Blade of Retribution and sent right back. The squad leader was sent flying in an instant, and at the same time, a notification sound chimed. Joman's health has reached 0. Match over. A few moments later, the Algiri Guild Hall. You're saying they can mass-produce a product comparable to high-grade potions? A regeneration potion, you say? The one speaking was the guild's second-in-command, Genpei. That's right, Vice Guildmaster. I witnessed the effects of the regeneration potion with my own 2 eyes. Even I have never heard of a regeneration potion being developed. Are you sure you weren't deceived? I saw it myself. The moment the regeneration potion was applied, even the bones began to fully recover. Let's put the potion aside for a moment. You are a 3-star hunter of our guild. 3-star hunter losing to a 1-star summon. Don't you think you've brought shame upon the guild? And I heard that after losing the match, you simply mentioned the Algiri Guild and left. You protected your own reputation, but you shamed the guild. Starting today, you are demoted to a regular member. After Joman left, Secretary, I need you to investigate this regeneration potion for me. I need to know the source of this potion. Also, there's no way a 1-star priest could defeat a 3-star swordsman. Unless, this priest has acquired some kind of god-tier summoning skill. The man just couldn't figure out how a priest could obtain such a powerful summoned beast. And while you're at it, investigate this guy. Get me all the information you can on him. Meanwhile, Regoa was looking forward to it. News of the regeneration potion had reached the ears of the Algiri Guild's upper management. It was then, Kashiwagi said there was one thing he was curious about. Why is it that right after the battle ended, you had me study a spear-type skill book? There's nothing to be curious about. You're an all-around warrior. I think you could become much more well-rounded. Oh, so that's why. But, I still prefer attacking with my fists. If you can master a weapon, your attack patterns won't be so one-dimensional. Hearing this, Kashiwagi laughed loudly. Exchanging blows fist to flesh, that's what being a real man is all about. Seeing this, Regoa used a bit of necromancy. Kashiwagi was shocked. Hey, why are my fists moving on their own? Regoa, you shameless bastard. You're actually controlling me just to make me learn. Since we're going to be training with the spear, as my master, you have to master it completely too, you know. Taking the skill book, Regoa's expression didn't change in the slightest. This was a book on basic spearmanship. as long as one understood the contents. Even a child could master it. Most importantly, as a reincarnator, he only needed an instant to learn everything in the book. The next moment, the skill book transformed into knowledge and flooded into his mind. Well, now that you've learned spearmanship, let's get to training, shall we? My Lord Summoner, this is Xiao Yi's manga talk. As he spoke, Kashiwagi's attack had already landed where Regoa was standing. Regoa instinctively retreated. He thought, your attack came out of nowhere. You're the one who wanted to test my spear skills. Why are you running away so fast? Regoa was left speechless by the taunt. You must be holding a grudge because I thrashed you just now. Hearing this, Kashiwagi immediately put on a smug look. How could I be that kind of person? He said, his expression suddenly turning serious. In a real fight, you have to have the intent to kill. Haven't I told you that before? The truth is, I'm also a master of the spear. I'm an all-around type of warrior, you know. Let me give you a real taste of my attacks, he shouted, then charged towards Regoa. Regoa wasn't the least bit flustered. After all, he had completely mastered the fundamental skills of the spear. I'm going to teach Kashiwagi a serious lesson. Kashiwagi's spear shot towards Regoa's chest, and Regoa immediately parried. He was secretly thrilled. After blocking this attack, it would be his turn to counter. But in the exact instant he blocked it, Kashiwagi's spear swiftly flicked upwards. Regoa was in complete disbelief. Could it be he'd actually mastered the spear long ago? You think you can let your guard down just because you blocked one attack? You can't relax until the fight is decided. But I blocked your attack. How did I still get hit? The moment you blocked the attack, your focus had already shifted onto me. And you were preparing to counterattack. But in doing so, you completely overlooked my second strike. Hearing this, Regoa was still unconvinced. I only lost because your stats are higher than mine. Kashiwagi looked at the defiant Regoa and said he would lower his stats to match his. If we're on the same level, then there's no way I'll get hit by your second attack again. Facing Kashiwagi's attack, Regoa quickly stepped forward to defend. He kept thinking to himself, as long as I block that second strike, I can counter. But in the next moment, everything went black for Regoa. When he came to, he was already lying on the ground. You were so obsessed with blocking my second attack that you couldn't even defend against the first. Regoa knew it clearly then. He'd gotten too complacent since his rebirth. If that's the case, then today's the day I'm going to shatter this mentality from its very core. Seeing Regoa's fighting spirit ignite, Kashiwagi said he'd be happy to oblige. The scene changes to a barbecue restaurant. The squad leader couldn't help but ask, Regoa, what in the world happened to you? Regoa didn't want to say a word. He had just been thrashed for 3 solid hours. That jerk Kashiwagi, he definitely did it on purpose. He looked like he was having the time of his life beating me up. Kashiwagi, resting inside Regoa's body, replied, hey, opportunities to beat you up this legitimately are rare. Then, Regoa asked, so, was there a reason you suddenly asked me to meet? One of our team members was browsing the Hunter website, and a piece of news is blowing up online. The Forgotten Temple is about to be opened to all hunters. Hearing this, Regoa was a little surprised. Wait, that place still hasn't been cleared? The rights to the Forgotten Temple dungeon currently belong to the Frost Guild, but they've failed to clear it for over a year. Mr. Regoa, you're probably aware that dungeons are divided into 2 types, static and dynamic. With a dynamic gate, if the mana density exceeds 100%, monsters will invade the human world. And with static gates, monsters appear at fixed intervals, right? You're exactly right. Because the Frost Guild's subjugation efforts have been unsuccessful, mana density in the Forgotten Temple is about to exceed 100%, so the Extreme Cold Guild was only opening up the Forgotten Temple this time. Suddenly, Regoa recalled something. In his past life, the Phoenix Guild had obtained a piece of dragon-scale armor from this very Forgotten Temple. Since the Forgotten Temple hasn't been cleared yet, I still have a chance to claim that God-tier armor first. This armor was rumored to possess the power of a dragon. The squad leader didn't understand why Regoa's expression had suddenly turned so crafty. Gather Squad H for me. Tomorrow, we're also heading to the Forgotten Temple. Our target is the dungeon inside. The mana density had already reached 93. Hearing the news, the support units from various guilds in the area were already in position. Captain, it looks like this is going to be a fierce battle. With so many guilds here, are you sure 5 days of rations will be enough? Of course. We'll be operating inside the dungeon the entire time. It'll be over quickly. Just then, a squad member's face lit up with excitement. That's the candidate for the next Sword Saint. Ashaka. Hearing the name, Regoa looked over. Ashaka was the one who obtained the dragon-scale armor in his past life. He was hailed as the most talented legend in the history of Phoenix. But he fell unexpectedly before reaching his full potential. At that same moment, the squad leader shouted, "Look to the east. That's Iron Fist." Regoa glanced to the side. A single dungeon had gathered all the famous figures in the region. Alright, stop spacing out. Get ready to go in with me. This time, we're going to be the first to clear this dungeon. It's extremely dangerous in the temple. I should summon Kashiwagi first for protection. Seeing this, one of the girls remarked, all of his skills are necromancy based. Is he going to turn us into his minions, too? Regoa suddenly appeared behind them. I'm not the kind of person who just turns people into minions. Besides, you're all too weak. You're really not suitable material for minions. And on top of that, you're my partners. I'm not the type to turn on my own comrades. So this is the legendary, moving dungeon. Even though the dungeon is only rated 2 stars, so regular daily movements bring the actual difficulty up to 3 stars. Just like in my previous life, the dungeon moves erratically. This movement also means the monsters inside are randomized. Kashivaji, you go scout ahead. He then immediately activated his unholy blessing and blade of retribution skills. A moment later, the group entered the temple. Kashivaji suddenly stopped in its tracks. A sorcerer in a white robe slowly emerged. An endless aura of death enveloped the sorcerer. Based on the information he had, that was a fallen sorcerer. Before the group could even form a strategy, the sorcerer attacked them directly. Seeing this, Kashivaji immediately moved to confront it. However, the fallen sorcerer had been a mage in its previous life. Its physical strength was completely overwhelmed by Kashivaji, who instantly snapped the sorcerer's fingers. And then slammed it violently to the ground, easily crushing the fallen sorcerer's skull. The squad leader couldn't believe it. The fallen sorcerer was completely overpowered. This fallen sorcerer is too weak. It can't even hold my interest. The dragonkin's strength has always been their specialty, so it's only natural for it to be this easy. You smashed its skull. Now I can't use my necromancy to control it. Kashivaji indicated that there was no need to worry. See? There are plenty more fallen sorcerers over there. I'll try dealing with them this time. He then began to cast his bone control spell. In the blink of an eye, bones shot out like hidden weapons toward the wizards, striking their bodies with perfect accuracy. The bones, each wrapped in an aura of the undead, drilled into the wizards' bodies. Mage-type monsters have practically no resistance to elemental skills. I just needed to disguise my sacred magic as a necromantic aura and inject it into the wizards. That way, I could significantly slow their movements. Kashivaji, who was running ahead, was slightly startled. He felt like this group of wizards had slowed down quite a bit. In less than a minute, several wizards were completely defeated. I was very careful this time, specifically avoiding attacking the wizards' heads. As soon as the wizards were defeated, a prompt sounded in Regoa's mind. Level has reached 20. Acquired new skill, Dark Sage. Reduces MP cost for undead summons by 20%. Lower MP. This means I can fight for much longer. The next moment, the previously defeated wizards were instantly reawakened. In just an instant, they were completely transformed into undead servants. The moment the transformation was complete, the servants instinctively sought out enemies to charge and kill. At the same time, the other party members also entered a combat state. Kashivaji didn't fall behind either, engaging the surrounding wizards in battle. This situation left Regoa somewhat shocked. Why are these wizards pouring out endlessly? The ground began to shake again. Regoa, we need to get out of this room, fast. The dungeon's structure is about to change again, but Regoa didn't give the order. In his past life, Ashaka was asked by the media, you were the first player to successfully conquer the Forgotten Temple. Everyone is very curious, Ashaka, how did you open the main gate? Ashaka explained, ordinary gates open automatically after defeating the boss, but the temple's final boss requires a special method to unlock. No matter how the temple changes, it only cycles through 3 types of monsters. Defeating the 3 types of monsters will grant you 3 types of emblems. Collect 49 emblems and place them in the designated spots. And then you can immediately enter the boss's area. The moment they entered the next room, a blood-red demonic eye slowly materialized in the void. The squad leader noted, demonic eye looks the same as the patterns on the surrounding pillars. The originally illusory demonic eye solidified in the blink of an eye. A light flickered continuously within it. Immediately after, an attack shot out like an arrow. The sound of it tearing through the air, like a clap of thunder, echoed throughout the space. Regoa seemed to have been prepared. He slightly opened his palm, and 5 bone projectiles he had prepared in advance appeared. The projectiles were covered in the power of the undead and instantly transformed into a shield to protect him. The powerful attack relentlessly bombarded it, but no matter how it struck, the bones showed no sign of shattering. Regoa easily neutralized the ferocious assault. These bones were no ordinary bones. He had previously carved undead runes into them. That's why they had reached such a terrifying level of toughness. Just as he let his guard down, the demonic eye attacked again almost instantly. The interval between the 2 attacks was no more than 0.2 seconds. Just as it was about to hit, Kashivaji instantly jumped in front of him. Even if I hadn't acted, you could have dodged it. But I am your guard. You should just stay safely behind me. As he spoke, the attack once again slammed into Kashivaji. Its immense power completely enveloped Kashivaji. This power is weaker than I imagined. When the dust settled, Kashiwagi was completely unharmed. Regoya's expression remained calm. I spent a great deal of effort creating this dragonoid body. How could a mere 2-star dungeon possibly break through my defense? You're right. After being attacked, I didn't feel any pain at all. It seems that when facing this demon eye, I don't need to be careful in the slightest. I can just smash it with my body. The next moment, a powerful punch landed squarely on the demon eye. While this demon eye's attack is strong compared to ordinary creatures, it's completely useless against me. Do you need to turn it into a servant? What I need is the item it drops. I need that to get into the final stage. A moment later, they found themselves before another type of monster, one wearing a mask. To open the next stage, we need an item with a smiling face. And that item comes from this masked monster in front of us. This monster is really ugly, but as soon as the words were out, the masked monster let out a terrifying roar. As the sound stopped, a dark red curse shot towards Kashiwagi. A notification appeared. Masked Mimic has lowered Kashiwagi's attributes. Regoa sensed the decrease in Kashiwagi's stats. Do you need my help with that? She asked. The masked monster's curse is also a dark type skill. But necromancy is the highest form of dark magic. I can handle this on my own. The next moment, a notification appeared. Curse broken. Beside him, Regoa was surprised. Necromancy really is the highest form of dark magic. But she hadn't expected Kashiwagi to break the curse on his own using his necromantic power. Then, Regoa used the skill, Evil Blessing. As much as I'd like to let you fight the masked monster at your own pace, we don't have much time right now. The next moment, the remaining curse on Kashiwagi was completely dispelled. Immediately after, Regoa unleashed Bone Control. The monster was killed in an instant. It looks like its mask is the item I need. He picked it up without hesitation. Even though it's a necessary item to open the boss stage, it's just so ugly. The Sorcerer's Horn, the Demon Eye, and the item from the masked monster. We need to collect 49 of these 3. Regoa was still very curious. How did Ashoka know this? Even in the reports from her past life, she said that not a single one of these items must be destroyed. In other words, if an item is destroyed, you can't enter the boss stage. From everything that's happened, it's clear Ashoka knows some secrets that we don't. Just then, the squad leader reported that the Phoenix Guild was fighting nearby. Regoa looked back. They got here pretty fast. At that moment, masked monsters were surrounding Ashoka's team. But in Ashoka's eyes, there wasn't a trace of worry. In fact, the masked monster's curses seemed to have no effect on her. They were completely wiped out by her slashes. Kronos smiled. So that's how it is. By infusing spiritual power into her slashes, she can cut right through curses. Then, Regoa said, we need to speed up. Behind them, Ashoka stared intently at Regoa's group. Captain, are you that interested in their team? A squad mate asked Ashoka. They seem to have a way to dispel the curses. Captain, you're definitely overthinking it. They must have just gotten lucky and avoided the curse. Xiaoyi Shuomen said, it's my first time seeing him, but he gives off this incredibly powerful and mysterious vibe. I never would have expected this. For 5 days, the monsters have just been pouring out endlessly. Even the squad leader was starting to panic. This was completely beyond everyone's expectations. Team members shuddered. In the distance, another sorcerer was walking towards them. Seeing this, Kashiwagi threw another punch. There's just no end to these guys. The newly appeared sorcerer was killed without any trouble. It's been 5 whole days. How are you not even a little bit tired? As expected of the one I chose. I am a necromancer, after all. All I have to do is command my puppets to fight. And every time one of my puppets kills an enemy, I absorb their power. This also means, I don't need any rest. I can fight for 5 days and 5 nights without sleep. My level has reached 27. Then, I gathered the materials that dropped on the ground. Next, I placed all the items in their designated spots. The once dim stone pillars began to glow faintly again. I had already placed 48 pillars. The other raiding parties had pretty much all left. I turned and announced, we've had a great haul these past few days. All of you, go out and sell the magic stones. I need to stay in here a little longer. The squad leader replied, we'll do as you say, Regoa. A moment later, Regoa led his puppets into the next room, and the ground suddenly began to shake again. Kashiwagi said, the tremors are getting more frequent. Shouldn't we leave the dungeon too? I sent them away on purpose. That's because, we're going to clear this dungeon completely. We've been fighting intensely for 5 straight days and we still haven't even seen the dungeon boss. You were wondering why I was placing materials on the stone pillars, right? It's because that's the condition to summon the boss. We need to find the stone pillars in this room that have 3 specific patterns on them. Once we place the final set of materials, we'll have fulfilled the prerequisite. As he spoke, the dungeon began to shake even more violently. At the same time, attacks started coming randomly at Regoa. Regoa had no choice but to dodge quickly while searching his surroundings for the pillar. I have to hurry. This dungeon feels like it's going to collapse at any second. Just as Regoa was looking everywhere, Kashiwagi yelled, I found it. Regoa looked in the direction Kashiwagi was pointing. He never expected the pillar to be in the opposite direction. I have to find a way to get back around. Just then, Kashiwagi shouted, "Throw me the materials." Without a moment's hesitation, Regoa immediately threw the materials. Kashiwagi, fearless of any attack, instantly appeared in front of the pillar and looked at its totem. "This is the last one. This is it. I just need to place the materials at the base of the pillar." The next moment, the pillar began to glow faintly, and the barrage of attacks suddenly stopped. The pillars began to refract magical energy, eventually forming a giant magic circle on the ground. A large, hidden door quietly appeared. I never expected that a 2-star dungeon would be more complex than a 3-star one. Kashiwagi, get ready. The real fight starts now. Don't worry at all, Regoa. I'm a summon, after all. I don't feel any fatigue. It looks like this is the final stage. This room, it gives me a really ominous feeling. Then, he slowly pushed the door open, his heart pounding with uncertainty. What kind of boss will I find in here? But the instant he opened it, the boss was already waiting right there. An attack shot towards Regoa in a flash. At the very same moment the door opened, Kashiwagi instantly moved to block the attack. He gathered the necromantic energy within him into his fist and shattered the incoming attack in an instant. At that very moment, the monster unleashed another curse attack. Regoa's mind felt incredibly heavy, as if he would be completely devoured by the monster the very next second. Kashiwagi sensed Regoa suddenly step forward and asked him what was wrong. Regoa didn't say a word, just continued to walk forward slowly. The monster before him seemed to flash a triumphant smile, as it prepared to deal the final blow. To kill Regoa once and for all. Suddenly, Regoa spoke in a soft voice. "You think you can control me with a measly curse like this?